Hello and welcome to another episode of Quick and Nerdy, an MSP-friendly how-to channel dedicated to Veeam-powered BaaS and DRaaS offerings. As always, I'm your host, Brandon McCoy, Systems Engineer Advisor supporting our Veeam Cloud and Service providers. And today, we got a brand new video, this one on a little company called Cloud IBR. So I stumbled upon this company a while back, and I think it's a fantastic solution. So what it is a platform that allows you to very easily spin your machines up from Veeam backups and do some testing on those machines, as well as full-blown disaster recovery for when you need it. Now, who this is for, it is for partners and customers who have their backups in either Wasabi or Backblaze and don't have either a data center to have these machines spun up into, or they don't have the know-it-all or the resources to spin all this up in, say, Azure and AWS. So what happens if your on-prem backups are gone and your data center is gone, or your environment, and you need a place to spin these machines up, but you don't have your own data center to do this, and the time that it takes to import the backups and spin them up in Azure or AWS, again, maybe you just don't have the resources or the time to go through all the steps that it takes to set all that up. Cloud IBR simplified that for you. They've partnered with Veeam, PhoenixNAP, which is a very large service provider of ours, as well as Wasabi and Backblaze to kind of offer you this really nice push-button solution. Now, this is only for Veeam customers who store their backups on one of these two object storages, Wasabi or Backblaze. Other ones are not supported at this time. I assume maybe they'll add some in the future, but today, that's what we're looking at. So I figured in this video, I'll show you how to set it up. We're going to go through from start to finish of adding in all the necessary requirements to do this, and then beginning the recovery process. So it may be a little longer than some of the other videos, but if this looks like it's something that you may be interested in, why don't you go ahead and check it out. Let's get started. All right, so here we are on the Cloud IBR website. That's cloudibr.com. Cloud Instant Backup Recovery, which, by the way, that's what they're doing in the background, I'm pretty sure. They're using Sure Backup and Instant VM Recovery. So these are features that Veeam Backup and Replication already offer, except they're using APIs on the back end so that you can do all of this without your own infrastructure, without having to spin up a whole bunch of stuff in a hyperscaler like Azure AWS. Now, the main page is just going to tell you about Cloud IBR. So you can look at like pricing options. There's 3 different pricing tiers based on how much memory you need, what kind of features you need, like IPsec tunnels, what kind of support you're going to need. You can become a partner. They've got some calculators, but I'm not going to go through all of this. Just kind of wanted to give you a general overview. First thing you're going to do is you're going to sign up for an account with Cloud IBR. You're going to give them a credit card, and then you're ready to go. So a few things that I've already done. I've already got an instance of Veeam Backup and Replication, sending my backups to, in this case, a Wasabi bucket. I just chose Wasabi randomly. Again, you can use either, but for this demo, we're going to do Wasabi. And so my backups are in the Wasabi bucket, and now I'm ready to add all this into Cloud IBR once I've signed up. So let's go to the main page here, and we'll click on the first tab, which is Backup Repositories. It's going to ask us to add a backup provider. So this is where your backups are being stored. In this case, it's Wasabi. And we need to create a policy with an access key so that this bucket has a user that has read-only access to the bucket. I found out something that I think is kind of cool. If you give them a access key with a user that has too many privileges, like for instance write privileges, it will actually fail. So they're making sure that you're doing this as securely as possible, because all they need is read access and a few other things like the ability to get and list buckets. So this is a JSON policy, and if you're not familiar with JSON, don't worry about it. All you got to do is copy and paste, and right here where it says your bucket name, you'll actually change that to your bucket name, right? So let's go through this. Let's go ahead and copy and paste everything here. Make sure you do it just right. And let's go back. to Wasabi. Sorry. So let's go to Wasabi, and we're going to go to policies, create a new policy. You can call this whatever you want. I'm going to call it Cloud IBR. You can put it in a description if you'd like, but it's not necessary. And then let's just paste that policy in here. So right where it says your bucket name, let's change that to whatever your bucket name is specifically. Mine is called Code Cracker IBR. And I want to put that in right here as well. So I messed up here earlier in full transparency, so make sure you slow down and take your time. Code Cracker IBR, you want to put that same bucket name right here. If you need additional buckets, you'll actually list those after the comma right here in both places. So Code Cracker IBR. All right, so whoops. All right, the policy is valid, as we can see here. We'll click Create Policy. Now, for the next thing, what we want to do is we want to come over to Users, and we're going to create a user. Call this whatever you want as well. Again, I'm just going to call it Cloud IBR. Now, it's going to ask you for a specific type of access, and the Cloud IBR will walk you through this, but I'm just kind of doing it all from the screen here. So it's going to ask for the type of access, and Cloud IBR wants programmatic access because this user does not need access to the actual Wasabi console. So again, we're just making this as secure as possible. If you'd like to add multi-factor authentication, you can, but it's not a requirement. We'll click Next. You can attach this user to a group, but for this scenario, I'm just going to create a single user. So I'll click Next. And let's attach the policy that we just created to this user. So Cloud IBR, and it'll automatically add that. You don't have to like click enter or anything there. Let's scroll down and click Next. Okay, so just review everything here. Once it's right, you click Create User. It's going to generate an access key specifically for this user. You'll need to make sure that you have the access key as well as the secret key. Once you click Show Secret Key, if you leave this page and come back, you will never see that secret key again. So make sure that you are copying these and saving them somewhere secure. I'm going to go ahead and copy mine to my clipboard. I'm going to copy and paste on a different screen and close out of here. Okay, so let's close. Let's go back and see what it's asking for next. All right, so we've got our policy. We've created a user with programmatic access, read-only API keys, and now we need to put all that information down here at the bottom. So the first thing it's asking for is the service point or URL. This is the data center region in which your Veeam backups are currently being stored. If you don't remember what that service point URL is, you can simply Google Wasabi service points, Backblaze service points, and it should come up. So here's the ones for Wasabi. Interestingly enough, my backups are in East 1, North Virginia. However, this service URL did not work. I don't know if that's an intentional or an oversight. My guess is that because this is a shorthand for the first data center region, it's implied that it's East 1, whereas all the other ones are listed out. So if it's East 1, North Virginia, make sure you select the alternative URL. And we'll go back to here, and you'll need to put in the whole HTTP. So https:// paste that in, get rid of that space. All right. So this is all case sensitive. If you get any errors on this page, which it took me a while to get through all these steps in full transparency, and it was just because I was going too fast. I wasn't reading every little step, and I was either using capital or not using capital or spaces. So just take your time here. So the bucket name, mine is Code Cracker, and my Code Cracker IBR. I almost did that the last time too. and my Veeam backup folder name. So this is the folder that was created in the Veeam console when you added your Wasabi bucket in originally. If you don't remember what this folder name is, go to your Veeam server, right click on the Wasabi bucket, click on properties, and just scroll down until you see the folder name. It's not the folder path, so it's not like Veeam/backup/folder name. It's just the folder name, case sensitive. Mine is Quick and Nerdy. Hey, big shout out. All right, now it's asking for my access key and secret key. Again, make sure that you're using the access key that was created with the read-only policy that we made earlier. Again, if you try to give it like a root access key or full access key with too many permissions, it will yell at you and tell you that. So it's cool. It's keeping it very, very secure. I must have a space there. Okay. And let's click save, and this all should work. Let's see. All right. So next step. This is the networking piece. So like it says here, Cloud IBR provisions a virtual Linux firewall to manage inbound, outbound access. Some of this stuff you need, some of it is optional, some of it depends on what kind of subscription level you have, like the IPsec tunnels. Now, a gateway is something that you do have to have, so you'll need to enter the default gateway, and you can see here that whether you have a flat network or multiple VLANs, you'll enter those in accordingly. All right, so let's add gateway. And we'll call this production. You can call it whatever you want. I don't even think you have to put anything there. IPv4. So let me grab that IP address real quick. All right. So this default gateway is 172.19.136.1 with a mask of 21. Also notice here that it says if any of your servers are configured to use dynamically assigned IP addresses, you need to make sure that your DHCP server is being backed up so that it is part of the recovery environment. All right. It also says that your DHCP server will not have an IP address when restored, so you'll need to go into your ESXi console and assign a static IP address. All right. So this port mapping here, this is an optional piece if you need to have ports for internet access. If you have specific service level agreements, you can do multiple port mappings. But I'm just going to leave that as default for now. Let's save this gateway. Okay, and click next. It's going to ask us about IPsec tunnels. This requires gold or platinum for that. In terms of VPNs for access to the machine, so you do need to create at least one VPN user, and as you can see here, we can do users for DR testing or the end user. So I'm going to do a DR testing user, read a little bit of info there. I'm going to put in my email. All right, and we'll click save. So I've added that user in. I'm going to click next. All right, so for remote access, in terms of white labeling and locking down this machine to only certain IPs, you can put in all that information here. I'm going to leave this open. This is not a best practice. It is going to yell at me, but it will let me get through the video. So just make sure that you enter that in a real world scenario of what is going to be able to access these machines once they're spun up. All right, and now as you can see here, I had done a recovery earlier. Just wanted to make sure everything worked. So start new recovery. Now, once you click this button, there is some more steps, so don't worry. We'll go ahead and click that. And the last couple things it's going to ask us is, first, how do you want us to handle the shutdown? Do you want to just do the sure backup test and as soon as it's over, shut everything down? Do you want to leave it running for a little bit so you can go in and shut it down yourself? Or is this a real live disaster recovery? This is not a drill type of scenario. You can leave the machines up and running for true DR. It's going to go ahead and migrate those VMs to production so that they're running as true registered VMs. I'm going to put mine on auto shutdown so I don't get some crazy bill after I finish this video. And We can restore from the most recent backups, or maybe you need to go back a little bit in time. 7 days is the default, and as it says here, it kind of gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds. So I'll leave that on. Does the machine need internet access? Yes or no? Turn that on or off. For providers, let's open this up. So this is just showing the source where the backups are, the target where the backups are going, and which data center do you want us to choose. We can automatically choose that based on your location and what's available, or you can specify the location that you want us to send it to. Recovery information. So this is just giving me some of the info about ports and IP addresses. Now, even though it says to initiate a recovery, you must have all this stuff entered. You actually don't, but again, it is a best practice, and so in a real world scenario, you would have all this information entered in. The advanced options here, leave recovery infrastructure running even after a fatal error, so you can do some more forensics and investigation to kind of see what's going on. I'll leave that off. And by initiating a recovery, you know that you're going to be charged some money, so just make sure you're aware of that. And now, once I click this button, it will begin the recovery process. It is going to take some time, so I'm going to pause this video, and I'm going to come back when it's done. I'll tell you how long it took, and we'll wrap the video up. All right, so we can see it started, and it'll give you some information here. So it's saying that the first 45 to 90 minutes will comprise of building out the bare metal cloud infrastructure, scanning the repo, decrypting the backup. You can see the recovery process of each server appear approximately 1 hour from when you initiated the recovery, and it'll kind of tell you typical speeds and feeds. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and we'll be back soon. All right, so the recovery process has completed, and I'm going to go to this last one. You can see the status here. By the way, if you want to watch paint dry, you can actually see the statuses as they change, and it'll kind of tell you what it's doing, just kind of some broad basic information. But let's click on the recovery here, and we can see that we had a successful spin up when it was created, when it was completed. It took 1 hour and 7 minutes to complete. I only spun up one virtual machine. It was a pretty small machine. Although when you think about the process of instant VM recovery and sure backup, these are using our proprietary technology called vPower NFS, and it's pretty much a read-only spin-up operation. So technically it shouldn't really matter how big the machines are. It may matter how many machines you have. I think there may also be some limitations based on your subscription of how many you can spin up at one time. But right around an hour or so is generally what you should expect for a basic type of recovery. And again, those times may vary, but I've done this twice now. That's about how long it took me. And we can just get a look at the information here. If we scroll down, you can see that this is from the Sure Backup test. It checked to make sure that VMware Tools was running. It tells us our platform here, some other information. We can download this into a PDF as well. And that is about it. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have additional information, you can always send an email to the Cloud IBR team. Feel free to reach out to me. I can help you out with whatever information I can from a Veeam perspective. And until then, keep on Veeaming in the free world.